Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're stepping back in time to one of the most infamous chapters in criminal history. It's a mystery that has haunted London for over a century. Who was Jack the Ripper? The name alone sends chills down the spine, evoking images of a shadowy figure lurking in the fog of Whitechapel, preying on the most vulnerable. But despite countless investigations, books, documentaries, and even films, the true identity of Jack the Ripper remains unknown. In this video, we're going to explore the various theories surrounding the Ripper's identity, diving into the most prominent suspects, and examining the evidence that continues to baffle historians and criminologists to this very day. Let's first take a brief look at the facts. The name, Jack the Ripper, was given to an unidentified killer who stalked the streets of London's Whitechapel district in 1888. Over a span of 3 months, between August and November of that year, the Ripper brutally murdered at least 5 women, often referred to as the Canonical Five. These women were prostitutes, living in the poverty-stricken area of Whitechapel, and their deaths were marked by horrific mutilations. The victims, Mary and Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly, were all killed in a way that suggested a level of medical knowledge or surgical precision. The police, though they were under significant pressure, were unable to identify any suspects. And so, the question remains, who was Jack the Ripper? Now, let's delve into the theories. There are dozens of suspects, each with their own set of clues and motivations. We'll start with the most famous suspects and examine the evidence presented for each one. Part 1. Aaron Kosminski, the prime suspect. Perhaps the most well-known suspect is Aaron Kosminski. Kosminski was a Polish immigrant living in Whitechapel at the time of the murders. He was known to be mentally unstable, suffering from paranoid delusions. In fact, he was later admitted to an asylum where he remained until his death in 1919. So, what makes him such a strong suspect? Well, there are a few key pieces of evidence. First, there's the testimony of a witness who claimed to have seen Kosminski near one of the murder scenes. Additionally, police reports from the time suggest that Kosminski had a strong dislike for women, particularly prostitutes. In fact, some officers believe that his violent tendencies might have led him to commit the murders. But there's more. In 2014, a controversial DNA analysis of a shawl allegedly found at the scene of the murder of Catherine Eddowes suggested a possible link to Kosminski. The DNA found on the shawl matched that of a descendant of Kosminski's family. But here's the catch. This evidence has been disputed, with some experts claiming the shawl may have been contaminated or the DNA samples inconclusive. So, while Kosminski remains a top suspect, the evidence isn't airtight. Part 2. Montague John Druitt, the educated suspect. Next, let's consider Montague John Druitt. Druitt was a barrister, teacher, and a man of seemingly good social standing. He was born into a respectable family, but there were some oddities surrounding his life. He was, by all accounts, a bit of an enigma, an educated man who seemed to have everything going for him, but who also struggled with personal issues. Druitt became a suspect due to a number of reasons, not least of which was his suicide shortly after the last Ripper killing in November 1888. His body was found in the River Thames, and the timing of his death raised questions. Some felt that he might have taken his own life because of guilt, or because the pressure from the police investigation became too much. But there's no direct evidence linking Druitt to the murders. His background as a barrister and teacher also suggested a man of intellect, not someone who would likely have engaged in such brutal killings. That being said, the fact that the murders stopped almost immediately after Druitt's death has kept his name in the mix of prime suspects. Part 3. Sir William Gull, the Royal Conspiracy Theory. Now, we enter the realm of conspiracy theories. One of the most controversial suspects is Sir William Gull, a prominent physician and personal doctor to Queen Victoria. According to some theories, the Ripper murders were not the work of a lone killer, but part of a larger cover-up involving the royal family. The theory suggests that Gull was the murderer and that his actions were part of a sinister plot to silence those who knew of a secret royal scandal. The theory posits that one of the victims, Mary Jane Kelly, knew about this secret and was murdered to prevent her from revealing it. So, why does this theory persist? Well, there are a few factors. First, Gull was a respected figure in society with the skills necessary to perform the mutilations. Second, some believe that Gull had access to sensitive information and was acting under orders. However, there's little to no evidence linking him directly to the crimes, and many dismissed the idea as pure speculation, pointing out that the royal family would have no reason to involve themselves in such a grisly series of murders. Despite its flaws, this theory remains popular, thanks in part to the sensationalized claims made in books like The Ripper Legacy and the film From Hell. Part 4. Francis Tumblety, the American suspect. Another intriguing suspect is Francis Tumblety, an American quack doctor who was in London during the time of the murders. Tumblety was known for his bizarre and sometimes misogynistic views, as well as his shady medical practices. He was arrested in connection with the Ripper murders, although never formally charged. What sets Tumblety apart from other suspects is his apparent disdain for women. He was known to have expressed violent views towards women, and he was in London at the time of the killings. Some believe that he may have been responsible for the murders, perhaps even fleeing back to the United States once the police began to close in on him. However, there are several problems with this theory. Tumblety's movements during the time of the murders are somewhat unclear, and there is no definitive evidence linking him directly to the crimes. His arrest was more a matter of suspicion than anything concrete, but his eccentricities and violent tendencies have made him a figure of interest for many ripperologists. Part 5. The Jill the Ripper Theory, a female serial killer? Here's a theory that might surprise some of you. The idea that Jack the Ripper was actually a woman. This theory, known as Jill the Ripper, posits that the killer could have been a female who was able to evade detection due to the perception that only men could commit such brutal acts. Some believe that a woman, possibly a midwife or someone with medical knowledge, may have been responsible for the killings. Proponents of this theory point to the precise nature of the mutilations and the suggestion that the killer may have been familiar with human anatomy. This theory, though, is not widely accepted and is often dismissed by most scholars. The social context of Victorian London also makes it seem unlikely, as women of that time had far fewer opportunities to commit such acts without being noticed. So, who was Jack the Ripper? Was it Aaron Kosminski, the troubled Polish immigrant? Montague John Druitt, the respectable barrister? Sir William Gull, the royal physician? Francis Tumblety, the misogynistic American? Or perhaps someone else entirely? The truth is, after all these years, we still don't know for certain. The Ripper's identity remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in criminal history. While we may never uncover the true identity of Jack the Ripper, one thing is certain. The crimes he committed left a scar on London that has never fully healed. The mystery surrounding the case continues to captivate the imagination, and it serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in even the most unlikely of places. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's most notorious unsolved mysteries, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have your own theory about Jack the Ripper's identity, let us know in the comments below. Until next time, keep exploring the unknown and come back for another Mystery of Humanity.